Hey, Bart Miller here with Cycling Strong, 2013 Interbike. We're here at Felt and we're with Scott. We're going to talk a little bit about bikes. As you all know, I did Leadville this year, had an absolute blast. I didn't do it on a Felt. Sorry about that, Scott. But this year, maybe. We're going to check out what they've done for 2013 or 2014 bike and see what all the amazing changes they've made to this mountain bike for all you Leadville fanatics. See how many Felts we can get at Leadville this year. Scott, take it away.
Bart, thanks for the intro.
Yeah.
This bike is probably the best bike we've got on the showroom floor in my mind, because I'm a mountain biker obviously, but it's the Edict 9, so it's 29-inch wheel. Edict is 100mm travel. We use the fast rear end on it, which is Felt active stay technology. So you see there's no pivot at the back here. We use the spring of the carbon fiber and flex of the carbon fiber to create the pivot, and we also use that same technology to add a pedal platform into this bike, so that basically when you sit on the bike, that's where this swing arm is in its relaxed state. So currently it's actually under load where it's sitting now. So it's not until you sit on it and you're at sag, up about here, that this bike is in a natural position. That means you've built in a pedal platform that is undampened basically. So when you're pedaling, the back end is still very active. You can still switch on the pedal platform, which is remotely done up here, and that gives you a dampened pedal platform, which really locks it out.
So this adjusts the shock right here then?
Yeah.
And how many settings do you have on the shock?
It's just pedal platform or off, and it's one trigger for both front and rear.
Gotcha.
It's the full sprint mode from RockShox there.
And is that a full lockout, you said?
Close. Not 100%.
Yeah.
It's so this basically, you create a hardtail or rigid bike out of it with the press of a button.
Right.
But you don't always want that. Mountain biking, you want a good solid pedal platform that still gives you a bit of compliance. That's how, if you switch off that button and you let it be fully active and you're sitting down climbing, the bike will still track over those little bumps.
Awesome. But
it won't suck the life out of your legs. It feels very, very responsive in the pedal aspect of this bike. There's no wasted energy at all. The improvements from previous year's models are, we've straightened out the chainstay here. So it's much more direct line towards the pivot there.
Yeah.
So that when you stand on the pedals, those nasty little pinch climbs where you're digging deep for the extra little bit of power, it's all about forward momentum. For me, I'm a heavier guy. I really feel wasted power because I don't have, the fitness of somebody else. So anything that I want to put through the pedal, I want it to be about forward motion.
Absolutely.
And it's significant, there's very little deflection. All the compliance is about ride quality and ride efficiency.
Yeah.
And it's well engineered. I mean, we have the greatest carbon engineering that you could possibly want. And even to the point, this frame, it's the FRD version, which means there's no, dollars weren't an issue. It's like, how can we make this bike be as great as it can possibly be? We use a Techstream coating on it, which increases the strength and rigidity, and a lot of dollar value to the bike as well. We've got a 142 rear end. We increased the box area around here, the volume here, to stiffen it up a little bit through there. So it's through this region here is all about creating forward momentum out of the bike, while still giving you the ride quality. And when you descend on this bike, you then feel the compliance that is adding to the ride quality, as in, it corners like a demon, like it really does. And there's no resonance going through your body that's jarring you or shocking you. So it's ideal for Leadville because, the comfort aspect, the confidence aspect, and the compliance of it will minimize your fatigue levels.
Yeah.
Like basically, so you'll be able to withstand, basically the only fatigue you want going on is what you're putting through your legs, turning it into power.
Wheel sizes, what does it come in?
Just 29.
29er.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Awesome.
that's a performance wheel size for that style racing, for this style bike.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Tubeless option on the wheels?
Yes, tubeless option is there. This one's set up with a X1 drivetrain.
Yep.
It's Eastern carbon parts on it. It's very light, it's very fast, it's very reliable. Now that's something of a lot of the carbon trick bits you see out there, you may be a little bit risky, but we try to use everything that somebody like myself, a big heavier rider, could ride, or somebody that races long, hard races and punish their equipment. It has to be able to withstand the test of time and abuse all rolled into one. this bike is, we've had a lot of success with smaller riders, because there is that issue with 29-inch wheel and smaller riders, and which is the ideal wheel size. The way the geometry of the frames, we modify it per wheel size, per frame size, so that it is very suitable. Like, we are surprised we get a lot of, even the female riders get onto this bike because they've been told, hey, 27.5 is the bike, the wheel size for me, but we don't have one. So we say, look, no, just try this bike. Yeah. Just try it. And they come back, wow, I love it. It awesome. Feels like it was made for me. I didn't feel like I was sitting on top of some really obscurely large bike. It felt good for me.
Scott, I just want to ask you a couple more questions and kind of wrap it up but one problem I have is bottle. Like bottle cage on a small frame, harder than heck to get a bottle in here and actually be functionable. Second bottle, where do you put it? What do you do?
I use it in my back pocket.
Leadville, that makes it a little tougher.
Yeah, I know. Well, this, we do. You can get a full large size bottle in this, particularly if you use a side mount cage. Yep. Second bottle, I would suggest, you can either run it behind your seat or you go into a hydration system, or there are several different mount options.
I know that some companies, are putting a bottle cage up here, and stuff like that. I mean, hopefully in the future, something that people really start focusing on.
That's good to hear. We're always interested in hearing stuff like that. Because we have the capability to put stuff like that in pretty easily.
I know, and I don't know why more don't do it, because if you're on these long rides, you got that in your back. It adds up over time, and it's just that fatigue, and it's better to have it somewhere here instead of trying to mount it in different places. Sometimes it's ideal, because for my size, the hard part is my seat's usually down low enough that this hits my back tire if I'm using the full here. So then I have to mount a bottle forward, which ends up being a pain for that, So those type of issues for smaller riders on endurance races, they're not being thought through, I don't think, by a lot of these manufacturers yet. And yet the sport is one of the fastest growing sports there is out there. And so, it's just, I don't know, just something to think about. And cable routing,
always interested to hear stuff like that, because it's we live in our bubble, and we try and get out to see as many variations of racing as possible, and we understand the growth of that sport. I mean, I personally am, I love the ultra marathon stuff and the endurance stuff. I think it's just fantastic. That's why we love riding, right?
Right, exactly.
The time and exposure, and get out there and gruel through. And that's, I guess, from our take, most people have come to us and they just run a camelback or a hydration system.
The problem with those is that you got that fatigue on your back, that extra weight, time, and stuff like that when you're doing an endurance race. So for some that works out really well, but just something to think about in the future. And Scott, thank you so much for taking the time with us and going through this bike.
Thanks, Bob.
It was awesome.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate that. You guys out there, keep cycling strong, and stay tuned. We'll have more interviews coming from Interbike 2013. And if there's any questions you have, Scott will be watching this. We'll send him the link on this. He'll answer those questions for you and get you taken care of. Keep cycling.